Hey guys, this is Matt Reisinger
And Jordan Smith
from The Build Show.
at the Bow Show, Munich, Germany 2019.
Europe's biggest construction fair. We're about to walk through those doors and see what's interesting, what's cool, what isn't found in America. Let's get going. Okay, we saw this all over Switzerland, but this is a wood fiber insulation. Looks like there's two different manufacturers here at the show, and we're at the Styco booth now. But I love this. We've got all kinds of displays showing how it's used. For instance, typical building here in Europe is all masonry. You could put it on the outside of a masonry building and then stucco it on top, and we're seeing it in roof assemblies everywhere. Pretty interesting. They get wood fiber from Poland, and then there's about a 30-day process where they're turning it almost into paper, basically, or just shy of paper. And this is kind of what that kind of pulp material looks like you see here. They can use that for cavity insulation as well. But what we're looking at here, or what I thought was most interesting, was these dense boards of wood fiber board. And you can see that it's made in levels or like glued together panels. Here's a good example of that, where you've got a dark panel and a light panel. But it seems like it's on the outside of all kinds of Swiss buildings. I asked the guy here at the booth, what's the difference between this and a standard, polyiso or some other type of exterior insulation? And the first thing he said was health. The Europeans like this product because there's no health issues. It feels very comfortable in the house. It feels very healthy, was what he said. And I thought that was interesting. That seems to be a common theme, especially in Switzerland, but maybe we'll find out here in Germany that people are really interested in the materials they use in their houses because of health reasons. They want that real wood. They don't want a lot of binders. They don't want glues and adhesives. They don't want off-gassing or chemicals or plastics. They're really looking for very rich, very natural materials. That's the word I'm looking for. Back to these displays. I thought this is cool where they've got a rain screen. You would think that a wood fiber board would not be a good product for a rain screen, but supposedly this product, exposed to the weather, being rained on, is good on the outside of a building during construction for 60 days. He said no problem getting wet as long as it can dry, which does make sense on a rain screen. I would sure think you'd want a weather-resistant barrier on there. And I've also seen this detail a bunch, like on that Swiss job site where they go right over it with some kind of mastic and a synthetic stucco. I don't know, it scares me a little bit, but maybe they've been doing it here for a while. I mean, they sure have durability in mind when they're building here in Switzerland. There's at least one other manufacturer, Gutex, so we'll meet you over at their booth too. Okay, this is something we've seen a bunch. We're at the Ligno booth, and they've got these massive timber floor systems. I think this qualifies as a CLT, cross-laminated timber. You've got this big 1 inch here, you've got a 3/4 inch here, and then you've got this airspace that ends up getting filled later, just like you saw at, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Kuhnholzbau, where I thought the building that they were building was absolutely beautiful. I think this is probably what the cross-section of that floor looked like. And then they've got that wood fiber insulation here, and then this kind of kerf cut on the ceiling is this design here. So that's the finished ceiling. I could totally see why Germans or Europeans like this. You've got this beautiful wood ceiling, really, really good with acoustics between floors. And then when you fill this and then you add a top layer, let's see, I think we can walk around here and see it. You can fill this with sand or other materials. Then you've got another layer of that wood insulation. And this one actually shows a topping slab and then a wood floor. Man, that's a massive assembly. But how pretty to have that as your wood ceiling in your house, plus have really good acoustics. And you've got an all wood, no off-gassing, no additional fasteners. Boy, that has got to be a massive and probably also very expensive assembly, but it's awfully pretty, as you can see.
All right, so one of the things that I've seen a lot over here in Europe, and I hope kicks in over in the U.S. as well, is this exposed cross-laminated timber frame construction. This is a model of a airport done in the Philippines, all with laminated lumber. So you see these huge glue lamps behind us. They custom make them, so the building is designed. Their engineers then will design every single truss that goes across, build each cross-laminated timber beam, and be able to span, this is 30 meters across at a 18 meter spacing, and just a beautiful interior. We saw this at a lot of factories that we toured, and I really like the construction. I want to see more and more of this start replacing some of the steel buildings that we're doing for high-end factories.
Hey, we're at the Schneider booth, another wood company that does also some wood insulation. I love these mock-ups though. This cross-section is really cool. We see a lot of this type of construction here in Europe where you've got this fire clay block, and this cutaway is really cool because now you can kind of see how they build here in Europe often, not just older houses, but even new, where you've got these massive floor joists, these timbers that are let in to the block, and in this case it looks like they've got maybe a poured header that's accepting that, and then they've got this wood fiber insulation that's running all the way on the outside continuously. This blue thing here looks like it's a some kind of membrane, and you have a rafter space that's also getting filled with a wood fiber insulation. But that would be a really well-performing wall. If you think about that, that would actually work in most climate zones where you've got most of the insulation outboard. It's kind of a version of a perfect wall house. We've got this big thermal mass on the inside that's going to be hard to move, whether it's hot or cold, and then we've got the insulation protecting it. Now this is back to what we talked about earlier. We're seeing a lot of CLT, cross-laminated timber here. And this one is kind of a thin wall compared to that house that we saw, or pardon me, that office building that we saw at Kuhn-Holzbau. But look at this, you've got this wall section that's solid wood. It's a 2x4 thickness, but it's solid. And then you've got these cross-laminated timber, I don't know what to call it. It's not even a joist. It's literally a solid floor, which then you've got to add a bunch of soundproofing, and they've got a bunch of different layers here to soundproof. And then again, some massive insulation. Look at that. It's probably 8 inches thick of that wood fiber insulation, and then it runs up onto the roof as well. I love these displays. These guys are really cool. Oh, look at this. This is the exact same product we saw in the first house that we just published. I guess now that you're watching this, it'll be a week or two ago. That was the Swiss builder that was using this product. It's a click and lock system. It already has the first stucco coat scratch on there. And then you can see as they lace that in, they've got a bunch of insulation. And then just like we saw on that job, the shear is on the inside. And now you can actually see, this is kind of an interesting example. We've got the air barrier shear on the inside of the wood here, and that's running continuous up to the roof line as well. So this is where they were using those Siga tapes, air sealing all that. And then you've got a bunch of wood on this project, but you also have a lot of insulation. That's a great display. Leave to the Germans to make some really cool overhead doors with a keypad to match. All kinds of really nice. You know, if you're going to park a sweet BMW in your garage, why not have a killer door? This one looks like a basic door, but look how pretty all the details are. This is the Horman booth. From the openers to the beautiful tracks on the inside to the way they do their springs on the side instead of on the front. Boy, there's some nice products over here. I've never heard of this company, but apparently they're distributed throughout the States as well. The company is called Horman. Guys, this one totally blew me away. I was just walking by and I saw this display, and I said, wait a minute, that's a drop-down seal, but it's delayed. This is really cool. The parent company is CCE. It's called Chrono Seal. This works like you might expect if you've seen one of these before. There's a pin that's going to engage with the door that drops it down, but it's delayed. There's a piston in there that delays it. I guess it's a patented system. I've never seen anything like this. They make it in a bunch of different sizes, but if you look at the display behind me, it's a watertight seal, which means it's also airtight. All the other ones I've used before like this that were drop downs, they had a brush seal on there, which barely would keep the bugs out and certainly would not keep the water or the air out. This is really cool. Now, apparently they distribute in the States through Bridgeport. I'll put a link in the description. But Bridgeport Distributors out of Washington. This is a really cool product. I can see my custom builder friends really liking this. One really cool thing about the Battle Show is just seeing all these different manufacturers that we don't typically see in the States. Look at this door behind me. It's by Bellu is the company. It's basically an airplane hangar door, similar to a Schweiss door, what I put in, which is a scissor style door. But this one's all aluminum. Now, they couldn't open up all the way because it would actually fall over. But I was really impressed with how quiet that door was. And then if you pan around here, look at these other two vendors here. Klaus Multipark. This is a kind of a high-rise elevator for cars. They've got some really slick German cars up there. And then these guys have an elevator system. So if you had a a high-end house, you had a basement that you could park in, you could pull in, and then this could drop down. So your Porsche, your Tesla, your BMW, all these could slide in, and these will move them into some other positions for you. Man, this is so cool. I actually saw a buddy of mine who's building out in Arizona that had a very similar system to this, where you could pull a car in, it would drop down to the basement, you pull a second car in. I think when you've got space that's tight over here in Europe, they're installing way more of these than we might, let's say, in Texas, where we've got to land. Hey, we're at the Get Air booth, and I thought this was really cool. A through-wall HRV. You know, over here in Europe, they've got a ton of old buildings that are block construction. And how do you add, let's say, fresh air to an old apartment? Here's how you do it. You core drill through. Looks like this is about a 6 or maybe 8-inch product. And once you core drill that, everything slides through, and you've got a motor here. You've got an HRV core, you've got a filter you can take out, and what it's doing is it's blowing at the rate of 30 CFM in for 1 minute and then 30 CFM out for 1 minute. So it's kind of a balanced system, obviously not as good as a real HRV, ERV, but I'll tell you, if you live in a small apartment, to have a through-wall system, that's really cool. And check this out, this also got my attention. We've got this PM 2.5 filtration sign. They don't have it yet. They're releasing it in 2 months. But instead of this little dust filter, they've got a filter that would actually filter out those really fine particles that can break the barrier between your lungs and your blood. That's that PM 2.5, which is so concerning. This is a really cool feature.
All right, so we're here at the Uponor booth, and this is something very European that probably won't translate to most of you, but I thought it was cool. So if you have a multi-unit house, so you've got 4 families living in a house, you have a central boiler at the bottom. To get the hot water, you can take the hot water from the boiler and use it both for your radiant heating and use it in your fixtures for your sink and stuff like that. The problem with that is now you have hot water going through all of this other system, and then you're drinking it at the other end, and it can be full of bacteria and other gross stuff. So here is Uponor's solution. You use the boiler to come to a fresh water system. Now this water system will distribute the water for your heated and cooled floors, and it will also preheat your fresh water, so you have hot water coming up from the boiler and you have fresh water coming up here, and this fresh water goes to the cold water side of your system, and that's fresh drinking water. And then the hot water is heated through this heat exchanger, where they take the hot gross water from the boiler and all the radiant floor, run it through this heat exchanger. Your fresh water hits that heat exchanger, gets heated up, and then you have fresh clean water going to all of your fixtures for brushing your teeth and showering and whatever else you do with hot water.
All right, the HVAC nerd in me came out. I was walking by the Stiebel Eltron booth, and they have some cool stuff here. First off, air to water heat pump. This one will do not only hot water, but cool water as well. So if you want to do some if you want to do some radiant cooling rather, this is your unit. And check this out, if you're building passive house, which of course they're doing a lot here in Germany, they have a brand new unit to the market for low load buildings. In this big box right here, you have 3 things. You have fresh air, you have a heating system, and your domestic hot water, all through a heat pump system. This is a giant box that does a little bit of everything. That is magic. Now, I wasn't quite sure what the BTU load on this is. It's probably over here. And it's only available in Germany. I think it's 3-phase or something like that. So you're not going to get this in the States. But the fact that this technology is happening in Germany and that they are working and developing this, I have a feeling this will come across the pond in a couple years. This is really cool to see from these guys. Probably can find out more at their German website, only available in Germany, but that bodes well for us in America.
You know what's better than a zinc galvanized steel roof? A 100% zinc roof. And that's not exactly right. It's actually a zinc alloy. It's got a little bit of copper. It's got a little of aluminum. They extrude it into different panels and use it for roofing and cladding material, and it is gorgeous. The original color that it comes out of the mill is your bright, shiny zinc, what we might think of as galvalume, but then it patinas over time as it reacts with the oxygen in the air, and it gets darker and darker, and you can get this pre-patinated from this company in either a bright, shiny zinc all the way down to a graphite. They even have a pink and a copper color over there, but should last for a very, very long time. My only concern when I'm thinking through this is If there's anything that is steel, you've got steel strapping, you have steel clips on your roof sheathing, anything like that, you might run into some problems with galvanic corrosion. So something to think about, but a beautiful product.
Okay, one thing the Germans really have gotten right that we're a little behind on in America is wood-burning fireplaces that are airtight. Let's look at this example over here real quick. We got some guys working over here, but what you've got is a wood-burning fireplace. This one sits inside the house. You see this a lot in Vermont and some northern climates, not as often in the south. But what they're doing here is they're showing this is the chimney system. And in fact, this company, Tona, all they make is chimneys, and they've got the tech down. So they've got an input air to the fireplace. They've got an exhaust air to their fireplace. And these guys are the ones that actually make the chimneys. And look what's going on here. Instead of a traditional clay pipe like you've got there in most American houses down there, this is what they have. They have a two-pipe system where they've got a fired clay center pipe. This is bringing the exhaust air out. This is all your gases that are coming out. And then on the outside, they've got a lightweight block. This is kind of like an aerated autoclave concrete. And believe it or not, on that cap, let's look at it here, you've got airflow in this way, and this is how the burning air is coming in to that bottom pipe over there. So you've got air coming down, and at the very bottom of the line, at that bottom section, you've got two things here. You've got a clean out right here. This cap comes off and you can clean it out. And then if you look down in the pipe, you see there's a hole in the very bottom of the pipe. See that hole down there? The idea is you've got some condensate that may form on the pipe, or it's rainy, you get some rainwater down there. How do you take care of that? On an American house, you've got a damper down there, and that damper is real leaky. You've got a lot of air that's flowing through that damper. It's going to dry out. You've also got a lot of air that comes in or exhausts through there. It's a really leaky part of the house. In this case, at the very bottom of the pipe, they've got two tubes that connect, and you've got a special bottle down there that's going to catch all that, so that now you've got a fireplace that's very, very airtight. It can work in a passive house. It's also got all the cleanouts and all the accessories that you need. And now you can have a real wood-burning fire in a house that's very, very air-sealed. I put a video out not too long ago, top 5 dumb building products, and it bugs the heck out of me that American fireplaces are so air leaky. They're so drafty. And let's see if we can barge in real quick. Guys, can I look at this real quick? I'm sorry to barge in. I just want to show this quick detail, and then I'll walk out of your way, guys. This is where they're getting a really airtight, good seal on their fireplaces that we're not seeing on American houses. So really, really impressed by what we're seeing here at the Battle Show.
All right, we are at the Facro booth, and have you ever seen a skylight that turns into a balcony? This is a really cool product. We've seen them around in the U.S. They sell them there as well, but it closes. It's a regular balcony, and it closes just like this.
Oh man, that is slick, Jordan. I like that. That is pretty cool. All right, so these guys, we've seen them before. They must be a German company because some of these products are bomber. For instance, look at this skylight right here that's made for a walk surface. They've got a crazy picture where it's like poolside or something. You can walk through this skylight. But look at this cross section. You've got tri-laminate glass. So instead of just 2 panes laminated together, 3 panes, that's how you can walk on it, plus another 2 insulating panes, and all the frames are fully insulated. I wish they had some R values here that I could actually understand. Unfortunately, everything's in some German SD standard, which I don't get, but that looks like a bomber skylight. This is a pretty impressive company. You know, it's not often you come to a trade show booth and the first thing you see is a sign that says we've got a 100-year guarantee. Now, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that for you in German, but basically that giant German word means 100-year durability. That is pretty cool, and this is a conservative German company, so for them to tell you this is going to last 100 years guaranteed, that's a pretty big deal. And what we're talking about is their basement waterproofing products. Now, they're below grade. We've got no UV on these, but they're using virgin materials, and they've got some secret sauce they've added, so they know these are going to be around long term. This is a great mock-up. That's one of the best things about trade shows, is seeing mock-ups that really put it together in your mind. What's the best way to do it? So we're going to put our waterproofing on. They've got a peel and stick waterproofing. Then you're going to put your insulation on the outside of the foundation. And then you've got all kinds of great dimple membranes from these guys. This is basically an eggshell material that has a filter fabric on the outside. And then they've got a profile that fits over the top of that so soil doesn't come down here. But think about if we're underground. This is backfilled. When that gets backfilled, we want to make sure that we've got a spot that when the water migrates towards the foundation, it hits that air gap and it runs down and ends up in this French drain, which is then going to get pumped out of your sump pump in the basement. Great, great display. Now, of course, you can do it without the exterior insulation, and that's what they're showing here. But I really like the exterior insulation of the foundation. That's a great way to go. Hey guys, let me introduce you to my friend Marcus. Now, we've been friends for a long time, Marcus, but this is not a young company, is it?
No, it's the company has been around for over 125 years now. In North America, we have been active for over 25 years.
That's amazing. But tell me about something new you guys have, this Bico technology.
Yes, Bico technology is being used in the flat membranes that we manufacture for North America, mostly for house wrap applications or air barrier, water resistive barrier applications. You can see a picture here. It's basically a material that is made out of fibers, and those fibers have a core and a shell. And with that, we are able to use different polymers, or we are able to, in a very focused way, integrate additives that have different functions on the inside of the fiber and the outside of the fiber. For instance, to increase the lifetime or the durability of these materials.
And if I understand it right, Marcus, when you think about a square meter of your material, Delta Ven SA, like I use in a lot of my walls, there's a grid of that fiber. It's kind of almost a woven material. And by making this thinner, you're able to even have that many more miles of string on that 1 square meter of material. Is that right?
Exactly. The thinner that you can make the fiber, the more evenly you can distribute that. And better distribution means better tensile strength, tear resistance, aging durability, or aging resistance and durability of the material. Just makes for a better and more uniform product and helps with the lifetime.
That's cool. Hey Marcus, let me ask you another question. I've used your facade open joint product before, but you have a new colored version out now, is that right?
Yes, that's an exciting concept. A lot of architects have asked, can you manufacture products that are not just black when you have the high UV resistant membrane? And black has traditionally been used in these applications with open joint claddings to create a shadow box look. But now architects are using more innovative materials for cladding, not just open gaps, but it might be perforated metals and things like that. So then it becomes quite exciting to use different colors. So now we have this type of membrane available in 7 different colors, and they all have the same UV resistance as the original black Delta facade.
That's awesome. And by the way, you guys have been making paints for over 100 years, right? So all the matching battens can be colored with a paint provided by you guys too, right?
Exactly. So the origin of the company, Durkin, in 1892 was actually a paint company. And that division is still around, and with that experience, we have come up with this system where the Delta facade can be manufactured in 7 different colors, and the exact paints as a match are available to then coat the battens or other girth systems.
That's really cool. Marcus, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me out of your Dorkin booth.
By.
The Build Show.
Coming to you from the Bow Show in Munich, Germany.
On behalf of the Journal Light Construction, this has been a whip, guys. We were here for 2 days. We saw, I don't know, how many booths do you think, Jordan?
700.
There was 18 halls, 250,000 people, supposedly the world's largest construction fair. I'll tell you, we saw some really cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll put as many links as we can in the description, but you're going to have to do some research yourself, guys. And I don't think a lot of what we saw today is really going to be available in the States, but it sure is fun to see what's out there.
Absolutely.
Guys, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Hit that subscribe button if you're not currently a subscriber. We've got new content every Tuesday and every Friday. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.